I left Egypt 50 years ago, but Egypt never left me. I was born at home in Heliopolis, a suburb of Cairo, on a hot, dry day in August 1925. The apartment was on the second floor. All windows and terrace door were open to let the breeze in. I was born into a middle-class Egyptian Jewish family with a Levantine background. Our home language was French. My brother and I went to French private schools. Our lifestyle was a reflection of the middle-class milieu we came from. My father, however, had studied in schools that were run by the Egyptian government, and the students were taught in Arabic. He took part in Egyptian public life, which was unusual for someone in the Jewish community. He was dedicated to his Jewish and Egyptian roots. He worked as an agronomist with the Kamambo Sugar Company. We lived in the Kamambo Company village in Upper Egypt for a short time. My older brother stayed in Cairo at my aunt's to attend the French lycée, while I was sent to the only available teaching institution in the Kamambo district, a French missionary school. I had to walk across fields to reach the school, and I was terrified to meet the cows, which were peaceful enough. My mother later decided to teach me at home. I remember how she would slowly rotate a ball around the flame of a candle to show me how night and day would occur. The oppressive summer heat, hardly alleviated by ceiling fans, the ever-present flies, and the occasional creeping scorpion, even in the linen closet, made life difficult for my mother. We returned to Cairo, where my father took an administrative position with the Kamambo Company Home Office, where he remained until he left Egypt in 1948. After my mother died in 1936, my paternal grandmother came to live with us, and we moved to an apartment in the center of town. Our terrace overlooked Cairo's central synagogue. In the hot summers, the beautiful religious songs poured out of the open windows and became part of our everyday life. My grandmother spoke to everyone in Arabic, and my brother and I answered in French. She listened to the news and music on Arabic radio, and we would play Fingal's Cave, the French Hit Parade, and Beethoven's symphonies on our gramophone. My grandmother strictly observed the Sabbath. On Saturday nights, she would ask me, "Shuftil Negba?" as I hung over the balcony railing, scanning the sky for the first star so that Nona could smoke her first cigarette after the Sabbath. Our summers were always precious times. For a couple of years, we rented a small house in Cyprus. We went there by overnight ferry with aunts, uncles, cousins, and a maid. My grandmother kept a kosher kitchen, and my father had to learn to kill chickens ritually. He was not good at it. And I remember the poor chicken running around wildly in the courtyard with a stream of blood following it. We saw snow-covered mountaintops for the first time. We walked in a forest for the first time. And we tasted preserved green walnuts for My life straddled three worlds. The Egyptian world around me with the Arabic language, the popular radio songs, the blue skies, the intense jasmine scents in the summer nights, an infinite desert, the sluggish Nile, the colorful street life. Brightly clad vendors would chant their wares, vaunting the qualities of broiled doura, argil souz, asab, Sudani, and permets. There was the nanny who could not read or write, and yet would lull me to sleep every night by recounting wonderful tales from the 1001 Nights. I only understood her source later when I read them in French, and still later in English. There was also the world of the English school, with the formal standards of the Church of England, Shakespeare, Jane Austen, and Miss Devonshire. In school, we had the English system of houses. I belonged to the House of Windsor. I don't believe I contributed much. I always felt an outsider. Finally, there was the French influence. The language of my home and the world of my extended family, aunts, friends, and cousins who provided my social life. We would meet at the club and have lunch around the pool. My aunts and I would shop at the stores like Sicurel, La Salle Anvers, and Chamla, where everybody spoke French. Sometimes I was confused. Was Waterloo a great victory with Lord Nelson the hero? Was it a defeat with Napoleon the victim? I left Egypt in 1950 and came to New York, where my son was born. In New York, my Egyptian life still remained part of me. It gave me comforts and provided enchanted memories. The Nile always present, and the desert and sun brought daily joys. In Egypt, the access to Western culture, such as Italian opera at the Cairo Opera House, productions of Shakespeare from England, and performances by the Comédie Française, had given me an extremely rich cultural upbringing. It was only 30 years after I left Egypt that I really began to appreciate Egyptian music and films. And now I listen to Kalthum and Laila Murad, and I seek out the films of Yusuf Shaheen. Christmas 2002, I decided to travel back to Egypt with my son and his wife and daughter. I had a difficult return. There was a conflict between the 25-year-old seeking the world she knew and the 77-year-old woman discovering a new and different Egypt. I had left a city of less than 2 million people and returned to a city of more than 18 million with all the chaos and pollution one could expect. On our last evening, we drifted on the Nile in a dahabiya. I asked the musician to sing one of the Kalthum songs I knew. Ala Beladil Mahbub Wadin. Take me back to my beloved country. As he sang, the warmth of Egypt enveloped me, and I realized that ultimately the essence of Egypt was the same. I left Egypt 50 years ago, but Egypt never left me